Literally in March overnight, when the lockdown was announced, court hearings stopped, police station attendances stopped, the number of people being arrested and charged with any offences has totally dried up as a result of the lockdown. There has been less crime, although I make this video after a couple of weeks of some civil unrest that has been occurring at the local protests, and obviously there has been a bit more crime in these 2 weekends. But generally speaking, the police who have been tackling all of the past crimes, they're still investigating, and because court hearings have not been going ahead, people haven't been getting charged, bail conditions have been going on even longer than before, and the result of that has been that overnight my work and my income source has dried up. I had to think very long and hard about what was going to happen to me and how to keep the business going. So the first exercise I did was to cut as many costs as possible so that I could try and survive what invariably was going to be financially a very difficult time. I also took advantage of being able to apply for the government grant, which is being given to small businesses. So I have applied for that. It is not an easy process and it hasn't been a swift one. I have also applied for one of the bounce back loans, which I managed to get, and I have that money. So I got myself into where I could be in a fairly good financial position and in the best financial position I could be going forward. I'm also having to come up with a new marketing strategy because obviously I need to be getting the work in. Normally I'd be going to marketing events and seeing people and meeting people for coffees. Those coffees have turned into virtual coffees, which is fine, but you still have the difficulty, I think, with trying to sell yourself on camera, because you can't get to know somebody well enough to work out, do I trust this person? Are they a good individual? Are they going to be someone I want to develop a working relationship with? And all of those things I think are key, and I don't think they can be replaced, and that's why certain things I will change on my marketing in doing more content, in approaching companies, doing more seminars and some more training. I'm using this time as much as I can to try and work out who will be those key people that I want to connect with, and those people that when we can see each other I can sit down and have a one-to-one with them face to face, where actually that face-to-face meeting will make a difference and can develop and turn into a long-term relationship. One of the things I've very much been speaking to some of my other contemporary entrepreneurs and business owners is about quality of those relationships. And this lockdown has made me realise that it is the quality that matters. Your reputation, to get a case or to get somebody contact you to say, I need help, I need you to recommend somebody for me, or I need you to help me. You don't want to risk giving that client or that contact the details of somebody who is not going to deliver the same standard of work or have the same approach in order to try and look after and nurture that client. All the relationships that we all have are so precious. You need to hold on to them and nurture them and develop them, and I don't think it's ever worth taking them for granted. Some of those where some people have different approaches, where it's quantity, for me it is about quality and developing and maintaining those relationships. And my colleague Robin and I, we've been in regular touch during the week, and I've been speaking to her about the work that she's doing so that we are still both on the same page, because I think the big thing that you have with your teams is how do you communicate with people what you're all doing, because if you're under one roof together it's so much easier rather than having to schedule in a time and specify when you're actually going to be available to talk through whatever issues are going on or whatever is going on at the time. One thing that I have been thinking very closely about doing is my business plan needs to change, because I think going forward things aren't going to go back I don't know that things will ever go back to how they were pre-COVID. I think more people will be working from home. More meetings are going to be done online via Zoom or whichever application. There is going to be an increase in cyber attacks, I think, as a result of this, with more people working from home, more reliance on technology. And that is something that, as my business and holding a lot of sensitive information, I need to protect myself against. We've only seen in the United States there's been a huge cyber attacks on lots of companies, and people saying that they've accessed the information, got all this data, and holding companies to ransom. As a small business, I won't be able to pay a ransom. So it's very, very difficult, and you've got to protect yourself as best you can for the future. My working practice going forward, I've worked out I don't really need an office. I have a registered office which I can have meetings in, but as for me having regular office space that I'm paying for, it doesn't seem worth me continuing with that whilst there is so much uncertainty going forward. So speak to your friends. We are all here in the same boat, and have support and give support to each other, because we're the only ones who really understand what it's like. And we all have different but similar stresses and strains on our time, on our money, and also on our vision and our future, and why we ended up setting up in the first place. One of the things that I have been considering is, 5 years ago I set up a firm, and when I set up that firm I was working from home at the very beginning, and I feel like 5 years later I'm back to where I started. And the thing is, I'm not back to where I started, because over 5 years I have been developed all my relationships. I've got a good contact base, and work has continually come in. So as much as in some ways it feels like I'm back where I started, I'm not. I've learned so much, I've grown so much, and that's not just my waistline I'm talking about. I have grown and developed as a lawyer, as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, and that is something that is to be consistently and not forgotten and instilled in everybody. I think that just because maybe it's taken a step back, or you're back where you started, all that experience you've had has not gone away, and it has made you better and stronger, and people will be better and stronger going forward. So that is my top tips, and my experience of lockdown, which has not been all bad, but it has been a very stressful time, and obviously has presented its own challenges. Thanks very much for listening.